that introduction. Glad to be with everybody today. As Sarah mentioned, we're going to be talking about preparing for the upcoming school year. So before we jump into today's agenda, I just want to let you all know we have quite a large group today, over 300 people with us. So it may be really challenging for us to get to a lot of the questions, and we want to make sure that we get through this content. So please just send in your questions. We may not get back to you during the webinar, but I can assure you we will respond to you throughout next week and get those answers out to you. So just know we will get to your questions. I promise. It just may not happen in this webinar today because we do have such a big group of you. Thank you all for being here today. We know that you guys wanted this sooner than we had it scheduled, so we tried our best to get it as quickly as we could out for you guys. So today we're going to be talking about some recent SEBB board meetings and decisions that were made. We're going to talk about how to handle those returning employees, and then how to handle newly eligible employees. We're going to touch base just briefly on annual open enrollment, and then of course, reminders, tips, and resources towards the end. So I wanted to touch base on a couple things that have happened in recent SEBB board meetings. And if you're not familiar with how to find the materials for those SEBB board meetings, I have included the link for you. You can find all of the agendas as well as the briefing minutes or the briefing materials. And then after the meetings are over, the meeting notes will be posted as well. So if you go to this link, you can look at all the past meetings, the schedule for upcoming meetings as well. They are done for the year and will resume back in January, but you'll be able to see all of the past meetings from 2020. So before we jump into a couple of decisions that were made, I want to touch base on what the 2-year look back states in regards to employee eligibility. So remember, a school employee is presumed eligible if they've worked the past 2 school years for the same SEBB organization, they've worked at least 630 hours each of those 2 school years, and they're returning to the same type of position. That school employee is presumed eligible. However, the SEBB organization may rebuke this presumption of eligibility by notifying the school employee in writing of the specific reasons why the employee is not anticipated to work 630 hours in the upcoming school year. So, one of the resolutions that was presented to the SEBB board, SEBB Resolution 2020-09, this resolution attempted to clarify what a type of position means. So the wording that they used in this resolution stated, to count as the same type of position, both the type of work and the work pattern, a consistent schedule compared to an intermittent schedule must be similar between positions or combination of positions from one year to the next.
Hey, Amanda, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
It looks like we're having possibly some audio issues. It looks like there's a few people saying that they have no sound. So really quick, I just want to double check that you're able to hear both Amanda and I. Please use the questions feature and just let us know if you're able to hear us. Okay, so it looks like people are able to hear us. It might just be a few people who are having some issues with no sound. So we do apologize for that. Please try maybe logging in and then logging out, then logging back in. Hopefully that would help. But let's go ahead and get continuing.
Thanks, Sarah. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so this resolution just attempted to clarify what a type of position means. Now that we've gone over that, no, the SEBB board did not pass this resolution. This did not go into policy. There is no clarification on what a type of position means. Again, I want to remind you guys, as part of the 2-year look back, that rule says the SEBB organization may rebuke that presumption of eligibility by notifying the school employee in writing of those specific reasons why they're not anticipated to work 630 hours. So what this resolution was doing was just trying to give additional information. you still have this opportunity to rebut that presumption of eligibility with specific reasons why. So a consistent schedule versus an intermittent schedule, that likely is a reason why they're not anticipated to reach 630 hours in this school year. So that language, that additional language did not get passed by the SEBB board. So this resolution did not go into place. The other resolution that was presented to the SEBB board, a couple of the board members actually presented this, and this was SEBB Resolution 2020-10. And this resolution attempted to clarify some information on the 2019-20 school year. Obviously, we all are aware this year was unprecedented. None of us were expecting a pandemic to happen in the middle of the first year of SEBB. And so what this resolution stated was, for purposes of this policy only, a SEBB organization must count the 1920 school year as having met the 630-hour requirement if the school employee worked their 630 hours or if they worked at least 500 hours between September 1st and March 16th. Now again, this resolution did not pass. This did not go into place. So I want to be clear, the 2-year look back, as it has stood for us from the very beginning of the SEBB program, remains in place. So again, that means a school employee is presumed eligible if they worked each of the last 2 school years for your same SEBB organization, at least 630 hours in each of those 2 school years, and they're returning to the same type of position. Again, you can rebut that presumed eligibility. But I did want to remind you guys, one of the things that did pass early on in 2020 was SEBB Resolution 2020-01, which states all hours for which a school employee receives compensation during an approved leave, so example, sick leave, personal leave, shared leave, or a paid holiday must be included when determining eligibility. So if you had an employee who maybe didn't reach the 630 hours by the time the schools shut down and went into a virtual setting, if they use leave and reach that 630 hours, that counts as towards their eligibility status. All right. So now that we've kind of touched base on those 2 resolutions, which again did not pass, no changes to the 2-year look back for the next upcoming school year, let's talk about our returning employees and how we deal with that. So first, we have to touch base on the Senate Bill 6189. So that is the bill that had some adjustments to eligibility in regards to COVID-19. So due to the governor's declared state of emergency, school employees who were eligible for the employer contribution towards their SEBB benefits as of February 29th will maintain their eligibility under the following circumstances. So the biggest one we're looking at here is during any school closures or changes in school operations. So your employees who were eligible as of February 29th will continue to maintain their eligibility during any changes in school operations. And then of course, in addition to that, if the school employee is quarantined or required to care for a family member who's quarantined, and to take care of a child if their school or daycare facility is closed. So school employees who are eligible for the employer contribution towards SEBB benefits as of February 29th will maintain their eligibility until the state of emergency ends, meaning benefits should be maintained into the next school year. And that's really regardless if the employee was going to be eligible for the 2021 school year or not. If they were eligible for the employer contribution as of February 29th, they will continue to remain on benefits, unless of course that employment relationship has been terminated. And I did want to remind you guys, there was a GovDelivery message that went out on July 29th, and I have the link below on this slide here. And hopefully you all received the presentation. I did get them sent out yesterday, and a few of you who registered this morning, I sent them your way as well. So you can review that GovDelivery message that does spell this out for you. So as the Senate Bill 6189 states, benefits will be maintained for anybody who was eligible as of February 29th. Now, once we get, to the point where that state of emergency is ending, maybe a little bit of normalcy is coming back into our lives, we will be in touch with you guys, likely GovDelivery messages, and probably even another webinar to touch base on what updates to eligibility will be occurring due to that state of emergency ending. So we don't have answers today, but stay tuned. We will be in touch with you guys once we reach that point. So now that we've talked about those employees who will be maintaining their eligibility in regards to that Senate Bill 6189, let's talk about what happens with our returning eligible school employees. So benefits are going to continue on uninterrupted from one school year to the next, as long as that employee was enrolled in SEBB benefits at the end of the school year. They're determined to be eligible for the next school year, and they're returning to your same SEBB organization. They don't get to make new elections at the start of the school year, but they can during annual open enrollment, which again, we will touch on a little bit towards the end today. And then of course, if they experience a special open enrollment event. So their benefits are just going to continue on, even though we are starting a new school year as of September 1st, no new elections at this point. And also, just a reminder, we do not need to provide notification to those employees who will remain eligible. So no notification at the start of the school year for those who are continuing on benefits. Now, another thing you guys have been asking for, unfortunately, we don't have the D-Series worksheets to provide you with today. They will be coming very soon, we hope. And once they are available, we will be providing a webinar to go over those in depth. But I did want to let you know we have them in the review process. So we are going to touch base a little bit on what these 4 worksheets are and what scenarios they apply to, because we do have returning employees. So our D1 worksheet, that is for school employees who lost eligibility for the employer contribution due to leaving work on an approved leave and are now returning to work. So just for a little bit of clarification, it's a school employee who was eligible in the school year. They lost eligibility due to going on an approved leave, and now they have returned to work. And so it's going to help us look at that eligibility criteria for those employees, and that is the D1 worksheet. Just a reminder, they are not up on the website yet. I apologize, but we did want to let you know what these worksheets are and hope to have them up for you soon. The D2 worksheet provides notification of eligibility for an employee who was not determined to be eligible earlier in the school year and is now returning to work from an approved leave. So we have our D3 worksheet. This one states the school employee is returning to work the next school year for the same SEBB organization and type of position, but is not anticipated to work at least 630 hours in the school year. So this worksheet is for somebody who maybe they were eligible last year and they're not going to be eligible this year. Of course, the 6189 does play a little bit of a different role. But if you had somebody who was not going to be anticipated to reach 630 hours in the upcoming school year, that is part of this D3 worksheet, as well as the 2-year look back. So the 2-year look back This is, they're not anticipated. So you have that space to provide those reasons why they're not going to reach 630 hours. So that is included in the D3 worksheet. And then our D4, this is a school employee who is not currently eligible, returning to work for the same SEBB organization in the next school year, and they are anticipated to reach 630 hours, or they're presumed eligible due to that 2-year look back. So they were not eligible, and now they are going to be eligible. That is the D4 worksheet. All right, let's move into talking about newly eligible employees. So just a reminder about determining eligibility. An employee is anticipated to work at least 630 hours in the school year. We want to make sure that we include all hours worked within your SEBB organization from multiple positions as long as it's within your same SEBB organization. And also want to include those hours that are compensated by your organization while the employee is out on leave and those paid holidays. So somebody's anticipated to reach 630 hours, they are eligible. And also you want to make sure you're providing them with that applicable A series worksheet upon hire or newly eligible status. So how do we get these newly eligible employees into SEBB My account? There's 2 ways that you can do it. You can manually enter each employee, so put in their date of eligibility, their social security number, go through all of the demographic information. You can do it that way, or you can upload an eligibility file, and we will talk about what that means here in just a moment. Just a reminder, we only want to add newly eligible employees into SEBB My account. And that means anybody who's not already been entered in SEBB My account. We want to add them in as a new subscriber prior to their date of eligibility. So that's important. So they have that 31-day window to complete their enrollment. Sorry about that. I moved a little too quick. I thought I had another bullet on there. Just my point of saying that we only want to add eligible employees into SEBB My account, we don't need to re-add our employees every year who are already on benefits. So we're only putting in somebody who is newly eligible into SEBB My account. So the eligibility file, it is a way to do what we call a bulk upload for newly eligible employees, meaning you could add several employees into this system at one time without having to manually enter one by one. If you have questions on how to create that eligibility file, there is specific file specifications that you have to use, and I've included the link here for the SEBB My account manual that talks about those file specifications. Also, I know a lot of your organizations use Skyward, and I do believe there is a separate tab in your Skyward to help you create that eligibility file. For other districts who aren't using Skyward, reach out to your IT department or your local ESD for assistance on creating those eligibility files if you wish to do so. Again, you can do it for 1 employee if you want. You could do it for 500 employees. It just allows you to enter multiple people at one time without having to manually enter people. And so you would upload that on the eligibility file tab in SEBB My account. So on your dashboard, you'll see a specific eligibility file tab where you can upload this file. And you will receive error notifications if an employee's file did not get uploaded. So you upload your eligibility file and it will give you either you can see it on your dashboard that you have a certain number of errors, or on that eligibility file tab, you'll see a list of errors that may have occurred. and it will give you a description of what the error is. And so just know if you have an error for an employee after you've uploaded your eligibility file, they did not get added into SEBB My Account. So you either need to correct the issue on your eligibility file and re-upload. Before I go further, if you do that, you want to make sure that you remove everybody else who did get uploaded, because then you'll receive even more errors. Or you can just go ahead and manually enter. If you just have a couple, you could go ahead and manually enter those employees. So the eligibility file will give you errors if you've uploaded the same employee already. It will tell you that they're already in the system with that social security number. So just be aware you're only wanting to add newly eligible employees. Just told you, don't include employees who are already entered in SEBB My Account. You will receive those errors. All right, so our newly eligible employees, they have 31 days from their date of eligibility to complete enrollment. So we've been getting this question quite a bit. How come my newly eligible employees who are eligible for the next school year can't log in and make their enrollments? Well, they're not going to be able to until they reach their date of eligibility. So what are you talking about, Amanda? So our employees' date of eligibility is September 1st. If you guys get them entered, your newly eligible employees entered into SEBB My Account prior to their date of eligibility, so if you've got them entered in now, the employees can go in and set up their SEBB My Account login so they can create that SAW account, they can get into SEBB My Account and poke around. They're not going to be able to do anything until September 1st. Once September 1st comes, they can log in, add their dependents, upload their documents, make their attestations, enroll in plans. They will not be able to do that prior to September 1st, or whatever their date of eligibility is. If their date of eligibility is 9/2, that's the soonest they'll be able to complete their enrollment. And then with this example of a date of eligibility of 9/1, that employee will have until October 2nd, remember 31 days from their date of eligibility. So they'll have until October 2nd to complete their enrollment elections. Their coverage will still be effective based upon when your first day of school was and their date of eligibility. So in this example, if our date of eligibility is 9/1 and our first day of school is 9/9, this employee's coverage would be effective 9/1. They would have until October 2nd to complete their enrollment elections, but their coverage will still be effective 9/1. And then just a reminder, if the employee does not complete their enrollment elections, they will default on October 3rd in this example. So what about our transferring employees? Benefits will continue uninterrupted if the employee is moving from one SEBB organization to another within the same or following month, and they're anticipated to be eligible for the employer contribution in your SEBB organization. The employee will not make new elections, unless, of course, their health plan is unavailable. So how do we handle these transferring employees? The most important thing is we want to add that employee in SEBB My Account just as we would add in any other brand newly eligible employee. So we add them as a new subscriber. Now, there's a couple different ways that this will happen when you add that employee who's already been in the system with another SEBB organization. If you add a newly eligible employee who has already been transferred or terminated by their previous SEBB organization, this is the message you will see. Transfer record found, and then you can claim that account. Now, hopefully you appreciate my name here. If you want the recipe for that, happy to give it to you. I was eating that when I made this record that day, so I apologize, a couple funny names here coming up. So this is the message you'll see if that employee, their previous SEBB organization had already terminated or transferred them out. You have now added them in as a new subscriber for your SEBB organization. You're able to claim their account. At that point, this is the field, the screen that you will see has some of their demographic information there at the top. And then it's going to ask you to update their eligibility reason, their eligibility type, their hire date with your SEBB organization, and if they are represented or not. Once you have completed all of these fields and updated the information, you'll hit submit changes and they will now be with your SEBB organization. The other message that you will see if you're adding a newly eligible employee who has not yet been transferred or terminated in SEBB My Account. So this one says the record found that cannot be automatically transferred. It's going to tell you who the subscriber is and what agency they are with currently. So it's going to say contact that organization to have their employee record ended or transferred at that point so that you can pick them up. Now, we are trying to get a report pushed out soon here for you guys that will have a list of all the benefit administrators at all the different SEBB organizations so that you guys will be able to contact each other in these cases. Hopefully it's ready soon. It is on the list of things to be worked on in SEBB My Account. So stay tuned. Likely you will receive some kind of messaging when that is available. Another example that I'm sure some of you guys have run into this already, but I thought it was really important because I don't think we have actually talked about this in any of our webinars yet. This was a little bit of a change in SEBB My Account. So what happens when we have a dependent enrolled under a subscriber, and now that dependent is a newly eligible school employee? The good news is the system is going to take care of this for us. So how do we handle that? Well, we just go in and add in this newly eligible school employee just like any other. We add them in as a new subscriber. SEBB My Account will automatically terminate the dependent record dental and vision coverage in this moment. A special open enrollment event is not required in order to remove that dependent. So here's what happens. We add in that new subscriber, we put in their social security number and their date of eligibility. The very next message we see is the following. This subscriber has existing SEBB coverage as a dependent. Enrolling this subscriber will automatically replace existing dental and vision coverage once the effective date is reached. The subscriber may waive medical if choosing to continue medical coverage under a different SEBB subscriber. Once you hit continue, again, it will ask for that demographic information, ask you to put in their eligibility reason, etc. You submit changes and they will be added in as a new subscriber. At that point, it is up to your newly eligible school employee to make a decision if they're going to enroll in medical. So when they get to the point that they are completing their enrollments, if they were to select a medical plan instead of waive and stay on medical as a dependent, if they select a medical plan and go through the process of adding their dental and vision and going through all of the disclaimers and confirming their coverage, this is the message they will see at that point in time. You have existing medical coverage under another subscriber. Electing medical coverage will replace existing medical coverage once the effective date is received. They hit continue, and again, the system ends their medical coverage. Nothing that you guys have to do at that point. So I just wanted to go over this briefly because this was a change. This was an enhancement in SEBB My Account a couple months back. Some of you may have already seen this when you're going in to add a newly eligible employee. Likely you may not even have known that they were entered in as a dependent, or maybe you did. but we don't have to do an SOE to remove those dependents. We just add them in as a new subscriber. So I wanted to touch base on this scenario as we're approaching maybe hiring some new employees. These are messages that may be seen. All right, we're going to move into just a brief overview of annual open enrollment. And the reason we wanted to talk about that is, again, as those employees who are continuing on with their eligibility as we move from the end of one school year and the start of another, they're not going to make new elections. But when can they make new elections? Well, that's open enrollment, annual open enrollment. So this year, open enrollment is from October 26th through November 23rd. I know kind of funky dates, but it is a Monday through a Monday. And so that will allow that last weekend for everybody to hurry up and make their changes. So they have October 26th through November 23rd. And those election changes will be effective January 1st of 2021. What changes can employees make during open enrollment? They can change their medical, dental, and vision plans. They can enroll eligible dependents. They can enroll after waiving medical coverage without proof of other coverage. Or they can waive medical coverage as long as they're enrolled in other employer-based medical insurance, TRICARE, or Medicare. Also, they can enroll or re-enroll in a medical FSA. Reminders, those do not roll over year after year, so they would have to take action to re-enroll in a medical flexible spending arrangement, as well as the dependent care assistance program. So those are opportunities for people to enroll each year or re-enroll if they want to continue putting money into those accounts. And then also, if the employee was to be required, they would be able to complete their attestation to the spouse or state registered domestic partner premium surcharge. That is something that SEBB My Account will alert them to when they log in during open enrollment. And just a reminder on that attestations, the tobacco one can be done at any time in SEBB My Account. So if somebody maybe defaulted and wanted to try and get that tobacco surcharge removed, they can go in at any time. It is a prospective change, so that means anytime they make that change, it will be the first of the following month that that change is in place. Another Gov delivery that went out recently was in regards to House Bill 2458, which talked about optional benefits. And I'm just going to touch base briefly on this, but I did include the Gov delivery message link at the bottom of this slide for you guys to review. But what this message did was clarify, or this bill, I apologize, House Bill 2458, it clarified which optional benefits SEBB organizations can provide. It also clarified which benefits cannot be provided and authorized the SEBB board to study and maybe offer additional benefits in the future. So during the 2021 and 21-22 school years, SEBB organizations can offer the following optional benefits. So things like identity protection, long-term care insurance, travel insurance, those VEBA accounts. This is just providing clarification on what optional benefits are allowed to be offered during the 2021 and 21-22 school years. So before I jump into our last section about some reminders and stuff, sounds like we're having some confusion on benefits start dates. So just want to remind you all how the rule states is if a school employee starts between September 1st and the first day of school, they would be eligible on whatever their first day of work is, and their benefits would begin that day. So this is the case scenario where your school starts, let's say school starts 9/9, so September 9th. If you have an employee who starts on September 2nd, that's their first day of work, they're anticipated to reach 630 hours in the school year. Their date of eligibility would be September 2nd, and their benefits would also begin September 2nd. So that's any time between September 1st and the first day of school. Now, if your first day of school is September 1st, and you have employees that their first day of work in the new school year is September 1st, they would be eligible September 1st, their benefits would begin September 1st. If somebody started in that scenario, if somebody started September 2nd, the day after the first day of school, they would be eligible September 2nd, but their benefits would not begin until October 1st, because the rule states between September 1st and the first day of school, they're eligible and their benefits begin on their first day of work. If it's any other time of the year after the first day of school, they will be eligible on their first day of work, and their benefits will begin the first of the month following. So hopefully I clarified that for you guys. It is, I was going to say it's in WAC 182.31.040, and now I just confused myself. I will get that to you guys, I promise, but it is. All of the worksheets, remember, our worksheets walk you through this process, especially for our newly eligible folks. That A1 is going to walk you right through those scenarios, when benefits begin, when somebody's eligible. So use your worksheets. I promise they help you understand eligibility and coverage beginning dates. All right, let's jump into reminders, tips, and resources. So reminder, this is the biggest one. If you have not already, if your district has not already entered the first day of school for the new school year, please, please, please do this as soon as possible. The reason why we need to get this entered is because if we don't have that new first day of school entered and we already start adding our newly eligible employees before we do that, it's not going to reflect the correct coverage begin date. So that's really important to know. If we have not updated our first day of school, we start adding newly eligible employees, it's just automatically going to give them coverage effective the first of the following month. It's not going to account for that window of opportunity between September 1st and the first day of school. If you have employees who start within a period like that, September 1, maybe through September 9, the system will account for those folks. Otherwise, if we don't update our first day of school, everybody who's eligible come September 1 will just have benefits start October 1st. So make sure you get that first day of school updated as soon as possible. Another thing, we are going to have employees who lose eligibility, right? They're terminating, they're not returning to our district or our SEBB organization. It's important that we want to make sure that we get those employees terminated and SEBB My account. And if you want to make sure they're not on your September billing file, you want to make sure you complete those terminations prior to August 12th. That will make sure that they are not on your September billing file, which posts on August 16th. As I just stated a moment ago, we want to enter those newly eligible employees as soon as possible. If we do that prior to September, it will allow them to have their full 31-day enrollment windows. Another thing, we want to make sure our employees' addresses are updated in SEBB My account. So remember, employees themselves cannot update their own address in SEBB My account. We want your guys' payroll systems to be your system of record. So if you go in and update employee addresses, that will ensure that they will get a newsletter. So one will be going out around the start of the school year. And then of course, there'll be one closer to annual open enrollment. So get those employee addresses updated as well. So here is where we go in SEBB My account to enter that first day of school. Just a reminder, it's on your organization profile tab. And we want to make sure that we're doing that every year by August 1st. So get it done as soon as possible. I know we still have a list of schools who have not completed this task yet, so please get it done. And then also making sure that you're updating your contacts. So the 4 categories are benefits specialist, payroll, insurance and billing, and your superintendent. So please understand that this field is actually used for when we as HCA are reaching out to you guys with questions. We had those audit letters that went out recently. This is how we find who your contacts are in your SEBB organization. So please get those updated as soon as possible. And it's important to know to keep those updated. So benefits administrators come and go, they change SEBB organizations, maybe somebody is leaving your organization altogether. You can remove those contacts. It's also important to do it with your admin, your benefit administrator admin, as we call in SEBB My Account. So if you are getting a new benefits administrator and you want them to have admin level access, or you need to remove somebody from access in SEBB My Account, you want to complete the admin appointment and removal form. You can find this on the forms and publications page of the benefits administrator website. And once it's been completed and signed off on by your superintendent, you can submit it via Fuse, and outreach and training will process that appointment and removal. So this form does have space for both adding and removing an administrator. And also know that a BA that has admin level access in SEBB My Account can add fellow BAs to edit, finance, and read-only access. You don't have to complete this form and send it in. Only admin level access has the ability to add in additional benefits administrators. And just an important note, don't forget to add in that access management role. What that does is it allows you to disassociate a subscriber account. And that means if an employee is having a hard time getting back into SEBB My Account, they've kind of locked themselves out, they don't remember their security questions, you log into SEBB My Account, you go to their record. If you disassociate their account, it will allow them to reclaim their account in SEBB My Account and get logged back in. This is going to be very important as we approach annual open enrollment in the fall. Another thing I just wanted to let you guys know, MetLife has been sending out postcards the last couple weeks to any school employee who has not added beneficiaries to their MetLife account. So just know, in case employees are asking you questions, they receive this postcard if they have not added any beneficiaries in their MetLife account. So this has gone out the last couple weeks. And what about those newly eligible employees, or even your employees who are just having a hard time navigating through SEBB My Account? They don't really remember how to use it. The SEBB My Account user guide has just been updated, and it provides guidance to employees on how to use SEBB My Account, how to enroll in benefits, and how to upload required documentation. And so I have the link here for you. It is found on the school employees website. I believe it's under the tab of Help with SEBB My Account. Also, if you have a new benefits administrator and you're wanting some additional training, or you're just wanting to find additional training information, remember there is a whole training materials page on the benefits administrator website with all our previous recorded webinars, all of our trainings from starting the SEBB program. But you can also contact outreach and training. You can send a Fuse message, or if you are a new benefits administrator and you haven't been able to get any training yet, but you have questions maybe about how to handle a scenario or how to walk through something in SEBB My Account, you can always reach out to our customer service at 1-800-700-1555. Remember, we like to try and keep that more urgent matters, because if we just have everybody calling for every scenario, then those wait times are going to pile up. Another reminder, this is not for employees to call. This is specifically for you guys as benefits administrators. So we are going to continue to have webinars, because unfortunately, traveling is not safe right now. We're not going to be able to come out. So we are going to continue to provide webinars. So we do have one next Friday to go over understanding error correction. And we do not have registration posted for this yet, but at the end of August, we are going to provide a webinar on SEBB rules updates. So rules updates that are effective September 1st. So stay tuned. It will be posted on the training schedule page as soon as possible. And as we develop more webinars, more topics, we will continue to let you know when scheduled webinars. Of course, we need to have a D-series webinar, worksheet webinar coming up here soon once those have been approved and ready. So stay tuned. We will still continue to have more webinars.
All right, thanks, Amanda. That was a great presentation with lots of information. I do have a few questions that I wanted to point out and just a few reminders to clarify some things. So we'll go over that really quick before 11 o'clock, and then we'll let you guys go. So someone did send in saying, I have a substitute that reached 630 hours and became eligible for the employer contribution in February. We do not anticipate them reaching 630 hours this coming year. Seeing they were eligible prior to February 29th, would they still be eligible for the 2021 school year? So that is when the 6189 comes into play. Since that employee was considered eligible as of February 29th, they are going to be eligible until the state of emergency ends. And the 6189 applies to all employees. So if you, the SEBB org, considers a sub or someone on leave without pay as an employee of that SEBB org, then 6189 does apply, regardless if they are a sub or not. Another question we have, do transfers count as new employees? And they are not. Transfers are not counted as new employees. Benefits will continue uninterrupted if that employee is moving from one SEBB org to another within the same or the following month. And they are anticipated to be eligible for the employer contributions. Employees will be able to make new elections, of course, if they were to move, if their health plan is unavailable, they'll be able to re-elect in that circumstance. We had some questions on transfers. So let's see. So if your school district does not know if an employee is a transfer when you're performing that bulk upload in SEBB account will notify you that that employee has already been added into SEBB account, and it won't duplicate their profile. So just some clarification on that. Another question we had, if an employee doesn't want to change anything going into the next school year, do they need to go into SEBB account and make the same selections, or are they good and don't have to do anything? So if they're wanting to just go into the next school year or go into the next year during annual open enrollment and not make any changes during annual open enrollment, they do not need to get into SEBB account and re-elect what they currently already have. It will just continue into the next year. And then just a quick reminder, the D-Series worksheets are in the process of being reviewed. We are hoping to have them available soon, but we do not know an exact date or time frame. So just a reminder about that. I know some people are asking about when they will be available. But with that being said,
I did have one thing I wanted to remind everybody. So throughout the presentation, I mentioned things like Gov delivery messages that went out, the SEBB account user guide, all of those, the links are included in your presentation that was emailed to you. So you are able to click through on those links to get to what you're looking for. Specifically, the SEBB account user guide is found on the school employee website under the Help with SEBB account section. So just wanted to clarify that those links should all work for you guys to get to that various information throughout the presentation.
All right, and with that being said, we're going to go ahead and conclude today's webinar. Please go ahead and send any additional questions that you have using the questions feature, and we will be working to reach out to you next week to get those questions answered that you did send in. I really appreciate and we appreciate you all participating in today's webinar, and I hope you have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend.
Thank
Talk
you,
to you soon.
everybody.